Genus Hammer. Now, he's actually written quite a long thing here. I'm going to condense this down, apart from the fact that he says I love the podcast. He asked when you went to WCW in 1999. He mentions Flair, of course, but he also mentions issues, obviously, with the Kliq a few years earlier. But he specifically wants to know if there are any issues with you going back to WCW in 1999 with Kevin Nash or Scott Hall.
No. Scott and I had, at some time after that, and I honestly am thankful for this, 4 or 5 years ago, maybe 6, post-pandemic time, I've lost all track of like the condensation of time. But he was at a Scott D'Amore show. We were both at a Scott D'Amore show up in Canada. And I was down at ringside in the afternoon, working out with the kids. And I hear somebody yell my name, and I look, and it's Scott Hall standing at the front door. And he's going, "It's okay if I come over?" "Yeah, sure, come on over." So he came over, and he looked great. That was the first I said to him. "Hey, he looked fantastic." And he was saying, "Hey, man," like, and Kevin had said we'd been on a show up in Detroit sometime before that. And he came in and he said, "Are we cool?" I said, "Yeah, why?" He said, "Well, a lot of heat with the Kliq, and I just want to let you know that, dude, water under the bridge." I mean, 10 years ago. And so Kevin and I have gotten along great. And I'm thankful that for Scott, before he passed away, that we had that chance to put that behind us. Sean Waltman and I, we've always gone along fairly well. And with Hunter, it's been sort of like, not that you run into Hunter often, but like I'd gone to the WWE show at one point, and there was a bit of a strange vibe there, but he said hello, I said hello, and that was sort of like the end of it. The one person I haven't spoken to is Sean, and like I've said it 1,000 times, ball's in his court. It's I didn't go up there and do stuff to them, so but I think, like I said earlier, about being on the downside of my life's ladder, I've learned a long time ago that it's a lot better to stand your ground for damn sure, state your piece, but the long standing stuff. And people told me this at the time I was too thick-headed to get it. It's just going to chew you up, So it's balls in his court. I'll respond accordingly to that. But yeah. So, but to get back to the question, in WCW, there was never any kind of overt issue with those two. And I think what probably kept that from occurring was there was the musical chairs in the booking committee, right? So there was, Bischoff's in one day, then he's out, and Russo's in, then Russo and Bischoff are together, and then this one's gone, and that one's gone, and this one's now coming in. It was just like the musical chairs. So nobody ever really had the chance to like get the hegemony over the company to be able to play that kind of Kliq stuff. So at least from where I stood.
Yeah. I'll just follow up with that very briefly. Did you ever, obviously Scott Hall was a lot later on, and Scott wouldn't really be in WCW very much in 99 and 2000 anyway, but with Kevin Nash, did you ever have any sit-down conversation with Kevin in WCW at that time?
No, and other than just that sort of overt, like, are we cool? And, he acknowledged that what they did was bullshit. And so I said, dude, like water under the bridge, it's, but even at the time, like when it was going on, as I've told the stories, you can hear me say like Kevin pushing back, like when Sean wanted to do the thing in Montreal, there was like this attempt by Kevin, like, oh, okay, yeah, but Vince, well, screw what Vince wants. And even like when he's face to face with Carl, Sean behind his, doing the pantomiming behind Carl's blind eye, you could see like there was it was almost like having to pull teeth out of Kevin. It was like, I'm thinking like
he was resisting the good in him.
Yeah. It was like trying to push it down. But I'd always, because I knew these guys well before going up there that time. There was no reason to have any concern to it. But when I first met Kevin in WCW some years before, as Oz or whatever different incarnation, we would often talk about Detroit sports, Pittsburgh sports, just a really down to earth guy. And, never, and even like at post Kliq, I could honestly say, like, I don't like when I tell the stories of the things that happened there, rarely does it entail, if ever, does it entail, well, Kevin did this or that or the other thing. It's usually centered mostly around Scott and Sean. And like I said, Scott was man enough to come up and hey, dude, like, sorry about what happened. Just want to put it behind us. And that, it was just, it was a time to do that. And it felt good to be able to do that because, there's some part of you when you experience like the things that we've experienced, it's such a small sliver of the population. We're blessed to have had the opportunities we've had in this business. And whether it was for a month, a year, 10 years, that time that you spend, I don't know about anybody else, but for me, that was an incredibly special time in my life. And I don't want to look back on that and be dour about it. A lot of times we were on the road with, he would jump in with me and Johnny where we were laughing our asses off a lot of times doing that. And I much prefer to remember those memories over top of the this or that or the other thing. But those have been dealt with. We had spoken about those and then put them behind. So good.